Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cincy Sharps podcast. This is our first time going live, so we're getting it's a new thing to do here. We are live on X and YouTube, so it's a lot different here as we're setting some things up right now to get so we can see what it looks like.
It should be the last week in this, studio.
Yeah, we said that last podcast too, but no, legitimately this should be.
Got the paint all up and everything, so
Yeah, we'll get everything in there, so we should be good to go. We are gonna start off with like Bengals and NFL news. I do want to get into like our Super Bowl reactions and like awards reactions because we didn't get to last time. But Steve Wilks firing. I do want to start off with that. It's an irritating topic for me because I think
I was like, when I saw that, I was like, no way. Like that means
scapegoat.
100% the scapegoat here. Kyle Shanahan really couldn't produce again in the Super Bowl where he is the offensive coordinator. So it's
but like with the reports coming out of who they're looking at, it's like that's who you're like, because right now, like, report just came out about Staley's their top candidate, and who was the other one I brought up?
Vrabel.
Yeah, Vrabel. I'm just like, I think Wilks, like, obviously Vrabel's great and he'd be a great DC, but I just like after that Super Bowl showing, you're gonna fire Wilks.
I mean, that's 3 DCs in 3 years.
The other way is because obviously they got hired, but yeah,
right. But still, I'm just saying, like, that's a big carousel for defensive players, the young guys. I mean, the 49ers have, I don't know the numbers, but just off talent, I mean, obviously a top 3 defense in the league. I was going to say one of the top most spent defenses in the league. It's kind of wild to me to think that you're going to fire him after, I mean, honestly, they did a really good job in the Super Bowl. I mean, some bad breaks, hit them that they couldn't really control, the muff punt off the foot. And then obviously Patrick Mahomes in overtime, but I don't know. It's kind of, I think, a rush fire, a quick fire to kind of shove blame, maybe.
Unless they already have like their eyes on someone that they for sure want, but it's like.
Well, I think it's like they had the third best scoring defense in the league, and they improved on every statistical category they could from the previous season with D'Amico Ryans.
Yep.
So, and he got a head coaching job. It's not like he was fired.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So it really upsets me that Steve Wilks is kind of like their like reasoning for like why they lost, but Steve Wilks allowed 1 touchdown to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl in regulation, whereas off a muff punt.
Yep, and that got them starting inside the red zone, right? I mean, or close.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like they lost, Greenlaw early in the game, which was a heartbreaker.
We were watching them, and it's like showing the replay. It's like, dang, that man's a dog. And they started attacking that line. The guy who came in for him, they just started attacking him and throwing to his side every time. It was like 9. Yeah, it was like 9 for 9 catch. It was like 9 passes thrown his way, and 9 were caught for however many yards.
That's what good coaches do, though. They find your weakness and they exploit it.
Yep.
I mean, once they saw that, I think we saw like the video where they like their what's it called?
Reaction.
Yeah, and it's like 57 just got hurt running on the field, and like they were instantly like, "Oh, it's time to attack."
I thought it was his knee at first, the way it looked, but then you look back at the video, you can see like his Achilles pop, which is always the worst thing to see.
I don't know the numbers, but I feel like this is a record year for Achilles injuries.
Yeah,
so many.
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers is not like turf or anything. That was just.
Yeah, but then Kirk,
Greenlaw,
didn't Dobbins tear his Achilles?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
injuries were just a lot in general this year. There was a lot of like, especially with the quarterbacks. Obviously, we knew it was like a big backup year, but I don't know. Is it like the field? I don't know. What I can't.
I don't want to blame the fields. I really don't.
A lot of people think it's because they don't really hit in practice anymore. Like it's kind of.
I mean, that's a definite possibility.
Like they don't practice tackling anymore, like the contact. So like in games, it's like.
Well, the worst part is when like a lot of them, or maybe not a lot, but it seems like a decent amount of them have been like non-contact, and that's just like the worst.
Yeah, you just feel.
Another thing that like seems weird is like it seems like the more non-contact injuries are up than contact injuries.
Yeah.
So that's another weird part about it.
You guys saw the NFLPA. 92% of players want grass.
Yeah. So. Which I mean, I don't know the studies on if grass is better than turf, but NFL says that there's.
You should give the players what they want.
Yeah.
They're your product. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of the game in general, though, minus the
first half was probably the boringest Super Bowl I've watched.
I was like, I'm probably going to leave like another third, fourth quarter. No,
second half was a masterpiece. Second half and overtime was a masterpiece.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you got to tip your hat. I wouldn't whenever you think of Mahomes, you don't really think of his like scrambling ability. You think of like his, his elusiveness, obviously, and his arm angles. But it seems like in like the big games, like he always is making that like 3rd and long run, that 4th down run, and it's like it's not just like a 1-yard run. Like
in overtime, he had that really big run.
It's like, dude, the triple option.
Yeah,
it's always like, okay, man. Like obviously he's 3-time Super Bowl champ in 7 years, but I think that's kind of an underrated part of his game that I've obviously seen, but like it's definitely shows up in the biggest moments.
Kind of like overlooked.
Yeah, for sure. Which I mean,
for Mahomes,
when you look at Mahomes, I mean, he does everything so well.
But I mean, outside of that, my thoughts during the game and after the game, that second half was another Kyle Shanahan crumble. Like this is what he's known for at this point. This is you got 28-3.
They went away from running the ball too.
That's exactly what they did in the 28-3 game.
Yeah,
with the Falcons. You have to run the ball. Third quarter, they barely ran it at all. They didn't run the clock.
Like you got McCaffrey.
Kittle had 2 catches.
Yeah.
Which, you'd think when McDuffie and Snead are on the outside, you would try to force feed Kittle.
And they kind of had – no, I don't want to say they had backup. It was like it wasn't Drew Tranquil, like one of the starters. He's a backup. Like I thought somebody got hurt. One of their main linebackers was hurt, or did he come back? Like I think Bolton or Willie Gay played. I know that. Did Bolton play? I think Bolton was hurt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Bolton played? Or was he hurt?
Yeah, Bolton played, right?
I don't know, because I thought one of their linebackers was hurt for the rest of the year, so I thought that's why Drew Tranquil was playing so much.
I don't know, but Chiefs corners, man. I mean, is there a better duo in the league?
The Chiefs defense in general really, like you got Chris Jones,
Karlaftis.
He really showed.
You know what I mean? Like those guys are like that's why Chris Jones deserves to get paid what he wants.
Yep.
At this point, he's the most dominant defensive tackle in the league.
Hopefully, it's not on the Chiefs.
Yeah, he said in the parade,
Yeah, and he said,
"I'm going to be back."
I was like, "Oh." I mean, he might just be saying that.
But then his agent tweeted, "Bartender, you got to cut him off."
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
He's going to get an absolute bag, deservingly so. I mean, and when you got a guy who already has 3 rings, money's definitely going to talk a little more than somebody who has no rings.
Yeah, that's. They want that he probably wants to be part of that 3-peat too, because they do have the chance, to 3-peat to be in the NFL's first 3-peat. And like, do we think they can do it? I mean, I think so.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when you have Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
They could be like this year, all year. They're not the same Chiefs. They're not the same Chiefs.
Their weapons can't catch.
You get to the postseason, and it comes down to a couple plays that you have to make. And every team they played didn't make those plays. I mean, their defense was obviously elite this year. They have some big free agents. Who knows if they are that same defense? But if you can, calibrate 80% of that defense, you get to the playoffs. You muff a punt, you fumble the football, you don't convert enough. Holmes is going to beat you. Like he's good enough. Like he's obviously great enough. He's going to beat you. He's going to find a way. And him and Andy Reid, what a combo. I mean, that dude.
Perfect for each other.
Like, I mean, it's wild to think that we got to see Brady and Belichick, and now we're seeing Mahomes and Reid. It's like a second coming.
Yeah, that's another tough part, like tough pill to swallow about that too. It's just like because like we do, and like everyone's bringing up how like Joe Burrow and the Bengals are like the only ones who can shut down the Chiefs, which I don't know if that's the truth. I know we are definitely one of the teams.
We're like proven to do it.
Proven
that's
to
why
do
everybody's
it.
saying
You do look at the Bills, like they do go tit for tat every game. Every game it's a battle. It's just Tyler Bass makes a field goal. You know what I mean?
Who knows how that game? Yeah.
Obviously, like the 13 seconds left. I mean, and then she's got that field goal. That's 13 seconds. How often does that happen? Where they are able to drive?
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
So I mean, again, that the Bills can really.
The AFC is going to be wide open for years. Obviously, the Chiefs are the king of the AFC right now, and like Burrow said, you got to take them off the throne.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, whoever wins the AFC is kind of a flip of the coin. Who's going to be healthy in the playoffs? Chiefs really didn't have some big injuries this year. Obviously a lot of the AFC teams did. You're going to have the Houston Texans poking around, the Browns poking around. Got teams that can definitely beat you in the first and second round that you wouldn't really necessarily think they should. That gives the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt, in fact, of like not having to see the Bengals this year in the playoffs. But that's always going to, the AFC is loaded. So, obviously I would say, the Chiefs have the best odds to three-peat, I would say, just because of, you got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it's
a
like
lot of their defense will also be back. Obviously, Chris Jones is a free agent, so is Snead.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm pretty sure a lot of their defense.
Another thing like about the Chiefs is like their cap really starts to get messy coming up, and like Patrick Mahomes,
he just keeps restructuring,
which is good on him to
do that. He's trying to take the Brady path,
like dynasty alive, to keep it going.
Yeah.
So He's doing what he has to do to win. And you look at it like his talent group, like with the receivers, like they had like Rashid Rice as as our number one MVS, and McCole Hardman got the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. So it's not like his like talent pool for receivers is
like great,
tremendous.
They're probably gonna go get one of the top ones now.
I mean, it helps having Kelsey because he's always going to draw the middle of that field attention. But it does seem like, I don't know if it's the schemes, but doesn't it always seem like he's always open?
I think he's allowed to like run what he wants. So he kind of like flutters into an open space.
Yeah, he always has like the option routes.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, what a pick Pacheco. I mean, that dude is what a
he didn't have a great Super Bowl, but
I mean, a diamond in the rough, though. I mean, he carried
it was hard for him to have a good Super Bowl when they were down by 10 plus.
That's true.
Almost the entire game.
He just runs so hard. Like it's just, one of those guys that you want to find that late in the draft.
Yes, that was his 7th round pick. So that's something you really need. Which, I mean, last thing I want to say about the Chiefs is obviously like we are sending prayers to Kansas City, for that incident they had at the parade. You never want that ever, especially on a day of celebration, and you take your family, that stuff, and unfortunate. I know Patrick Mahomes has like a Kansas City fund or donation thing you can go donate to, so I encourage people to do that. But on to like Bengals news and stuff like that. It got Mixon possibly leaving. That was a report today, which is had that last year. Like Mixon just tweeted out, so I don't see it happening. I
don't know what's he guaranteed money or not guaranteed, but what's his contract like?
I think it was like 8.3 or something.
I mean, that's
like that.
I would say it's pretty fair. I mean, you're not going to find another veteran running back for less than that, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Talent for talent. I mean, I don't know. I would say at that point you keep him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I want to kind of see like a whole season of that duo that we saw at the end of the year. They look so good together, him and Chase Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you still draft one because Mixon, I think that next year is his last year, even if so bring in somebody to have ready because I think Travion, I think he's a free agent and we're not going to bring him back.
Yeah, I don't know if we even drafted running back either.
You don't think so?
Honestly.
I think it would have to be 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, and like the talent pool in like the 6th or 7th like isn't really that.
Yeah, it'd almost be kind of like a wasted pick.
Yeah, I'd rather like shoot for depth than depth at a guard or tackle position other than like running back.
Yeah,
it's true.
But I don't want to spend money on a running back during free agency either, like AJ Dillon or who are some like.
CEH is somebody.
Josh I don't want to pay Josh Jacobs. You know what I
Saquon.
mean? Like I don't want to pay that kind of money
for them.
I was talking to Colton. Kareem Hunt wouldn't be bad because you could probably get him for cheap.
Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire wouldn't be a bad one either, just because of the pricing for him.
Chiefs legend McKinnon. He's a free agent.
McKinnon, yeah, he's really good in pass, bro. Yeah, he's a really good pass blocker.
For how small he is, that's kind of crazy.
I saw something about Braylon Allen earlier too, how he's really good at like
from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
he would be fun.
Yeah, I would like him. You'd have to get him like the 3rd, maybe.
Yeah,
but again, I don't want to waste. I don't want to take that kind of draft pick that early.
Not when it's not a 100% need. I mean,
and then we have like Tyler Boyd testing the market, which I don't know what his market's going to look like after last year, but it's going to suck. Obviously, like the guys like that been here for a while, it's going to suck seeing like leave.
That's what I said. Like the last maybe I'd say like probably like 5 or 6 years that I've really gotten into like paying attention to the players and getting into like their into depth on how
almost like their personal life, because then you start following them on social media and then you start like learning things about them and then you're like, well,
it's like they're gone. It's like
Yeah, I mean, especially Boyd, who was there for the dog days almost between the playoff runs in their mid 2010s to, the really rough years in the later ladder to going to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, he's been there through it all, and he always stuck by his word of being a leader and really kind of showing up for Cincinnati. Like, yeah, he's, the last year, maybe not as much, but look at the receivers around him now. I mean, he's not
once did he ever dog Cincinnati.
That's
the fans, the team, the organization.
He was always a hard worker. Like,
you notice that out of these players too. Like, it's been a while since we've had a player really speak against our organization in front office.
Well, the last couple of years, that's because people say they love Zach. Like Zach, I don't know if you guys saw Orlando when he was talking to Kay Adams on her show. He said that he would do anything for Zach. Like Zach's a down to earth.
Yeah, was that Pat McAfee?
Oh, was it Pat?
Yeah, I think it was Pat McAfee.
I know I got them two mixed up because they were Jamar and T.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like hearing players talk about Zach. Really.
Like even after that year we had, I know we had a winning season, but like with Burrow going down, he's like.
like I was a part of the fire Zach Taylor train for like a second, but then like he's really not the problem.
The heat of the moment thing.
Yeah, obviously that's like the first person you want to point out as the head coach, but he's never been the problem to me. I don't think he will ever be the problem.
And the only problem people probably say is the play calling, if like that.
If anything, yeah.
Yeah, but that goes. I mean, execution too. Like it's a whole jar. I mean,
yeah,
the cookie jar.
You really start watching.
Everybody's got a bunch of hands in it.
My biggest coaching issue is Frank Pollock. That's the only guy that I see as needed to be changed.
And my thing is too, like, when people think line coach, like it's a crucial part, especially because he's our run game coordinator. Like, you'd think like, hey, you need to make some changes, or we're going to make some changes. How many years has he been here now? 4, 3?
Yeah, they brought him
about
back
4.
4. I mean, that's a long time to not see much like improvement.
Yeah, especially like we can't hit on any draft picks either on the offensive line. Like we just can't.
I mean, the last school one was what, Jonah?
Decent.
Volson's all right. Starting, so
yeah.
I would say
but everyone wants to replace Volson.
Yeah.
So like
that's why I didn't.
Yeah, I've been seeing like Goodberry and some people have been saying that he's kind of already hit his like what he's going to be.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then yeah, you got to try to find somebody.
You got to replace him and him be a great backup.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is at this point, but if he's our starting guard going into the next season, I wouldn't be
mad
about
us also replacing him.
There's a lot of linemen free agents too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's got some good games. He's
great.
He's got some bad moments.
He's really good in the run game.
But every team needs offensive line help.
When he's like initiating the hit in the run game, he's really good. I think he's a lot worse when they're coming at him and he has to kind of obviously pass pro. But I mean, he's a big dude, so
he's decent for now. If you can improve, you definitely have to improve.
Yeah, he's definitely good enough. And like the T Higgins conversation's a huge conversation.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to Eric earlier about it. I'm like, you look at the Chiefs, like, they have Rashee Rice, MVS, and McCole Hardman. Like, that was their, like, 3 receivers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, Yoshi can be as good as MVS, 100%. But then, like, you really look at T, and you're like, that dude's just
a dog.
He's so good. Like, he's irreplaceable almost.
Because if Yoshi were to be our 2 and, say, Charlie or somebody's our slot or whatever we draft our slot, they're just going to double up Jamar and just not have to worry. Like, obviously, Yoshi will probably still make plays because he's good at going up and getting the ball and making plays and doing stuff. But if you're doubling, they'll be able to double and kind of maybe triple coverage.
Well, that's when like a tight end and running game comes into play.
Yeah.
Just because you can double Jamar and then you play single the rest of the way through, and you're getting a linebacker on your tight end. They have to win those matchups.
Yeah,
I mean, Hudson was coming alive there, but like that's a kind of it's not a premium position, but when it's a championship level team like this, especially if we don't have T. With T, it's a lot different because T is going to be single covered. But it does make a big difference when you don't have somebody like that, especially when we need that run game going. And it just seemed like we just couldn't get it consistently going. There were some games we were running the ball great, but we could not put back-to-back games or run game good.
And James Rapien brought up a good point, like being like so receiver reliant. Like, I don't want to be like Peyton Manning, where you win 1 Super Bowl, but you have 2 Hall of Fame receivers and 2 Hall of Fame running backs and a Hall of Fame tight end, but you legit only get 1 Super Bowl out of it. Like, I want to be like, Tom Brady, you plug and play. But like Brady's defense every year was top 10, top 5.
Yeah, if you can go get them stops, that's what it is.
Like that's my main focus. I don't even care what we do on the offensive side of the ball other than the offensive line, because I believe Burrow can make whatever work. My big thing is we have to have a top 5 defense or a top 10 defense. We have to be a top 10 in almost every statistical category if we want to win a Super Bowl. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, defense travels.
Yeah, look at the Chiefs. They had a really down year offensively, but their defense was top 5.
Yeah.
And that's what wins games is your defense. That's what wins championships. That's the way the league's built, and that's just the way you have to make it work.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's outliers like the Ravens, you know what I mean? Like, they had the number 1 defense, but you also look at Lamar, who failed to do anything in that AFC championship, where I honestly feel bad for all 11 guys on that starting defense.
They balled out.
You absolutely balled out in the playoffs. You allowed 0 points in the second half of the playoffs.
To the Super Bowl champs.
And you can't even score more than 17 points as an offense.
Yeah.
Like, you bring in this offensive coordinator and you let Lamar cook, but the MVP, showed who's valuable.
That's why I don't think they're going. I don't think Lamar will win one. I don't know what. I just don't think the guys around him were built for them to win this year. And they really didn't have any big injuries except for Mark, and he was even back for that game. And it's just the teams we've talked about earlier just getting better. And Burrow is going to be fully healthy. Obviously, I know they're still going to be good, but it's
and Texans, man, they're super young. The Texans are going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah.
And we don't know how Anthony Richardson's going to pan out, but I imagine the Colts are going to
be up there.
Yeah.
The Jaguars, if T-Law can keep them up there. I mean, they started off 10-2, 10-3,
8-2,
sorry,
8-2.
10 because they didn't win 10 games. But
that was a collapse. But okay. We don't need to talk about that. You think they tag? You think they would if they were going to trade him? What would you guys take for that compensation? What would your
I want a first round pick for T.
That was what you would send him for?
Not just one. Probably,
I want a first round.
Probably a first.
I'm just curious because
I want a first, second.
They don't listen to offers, but you always listen to offers.
Yeah, obviously, and especially in a situation like this, where if it's a 1 year, you can't 1 year rent a player like T. You know what I mean? That's just a waste of money.
Yep.
And compensation.
If you're not going to keep him, I think, if you're not going to extend T, I think you need to go ahead and trade him and get some draft capital. This first two.
Get draft capital this draft.
That's what I'm saying. First 2 or 3 rounds of this draft, not the deeper.
There's a lot of day one players.
So much good players in this draft. This is a heavy draft class for a lot of positions of need for us.
Last year was kind of it kind of slowed down.
Star player draft.
It was just the stars. That's why I said this
in
is
the second
draft.
later. But you go
once you get to after the third or fourth, it's probably we ain't really gonna know.
You go late second, early third. There's still starters there.
Yep.
So I mean, this draft, do you really have to hammer home here? Right tackle, I think. You got Latham, Mims, Guyton, Fuaga.
If any of those guys are there, you take them.
Any of them. That's my thought on it.
And they might sign one though, but even then, I would probably rather have a cheaper position, them cheaper for
Fuaga, Latham, and Mims. Those three, right? Especially those guys are going to be Pro Bowl type players, all pro type players.
Yeah,
just my opinion.
Early too. They can kind of not like that, not like Sewell impact immediately, but
no, but he was
outlier.
Top 5 pick. Yeah,
would he end up going 7? Lions?
Yeah, I think so.
No,
6
right after. Yeah,
I was about to say
he went right after Chase.
Yeah, I remember that reaction.
I would say all would probably be.
No, I think Pitts was 7 or Pitts was 4.
Pitts was 4 right before the Bengals.
Because I remember seeing their what's it called? Their war room, their war room reaction when they got Panay.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, he's a
dude's
stud.
Dude's an absolute dog. But Mims, I'm a big fan of Tyler Guyton.
Yeah,
Javon Foster in the 3rd round. In second or third, I really me and Eric. Eric really likes Javon Foster. Those kind of tackles. I mean, you have to nail these picks.
You got to go. We for sure got to go. I think offensive tackle or D tackle first round. I mean, in my mock that we're going to talk about later, I don't have them taking either of those, but that's because I have them doing something.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We can just get into our mocks now. Round 1, I was lucky enough to have. Now mine was done on NFL Draft Buzz.
Same.
And I was lucky enough to get Talise Fuaga. He's definitely a day 1 starter, possible elite talent at the right tackle position. That I was lucky enough to have him fall to me at 18. I don't think he will fall to us at 18. I think he'll
be taken.
I think we'll be sitting more like Latham or Mims type.
So none of the top 4 tackles were there at 18 for me in my draft. And the only guy that I would say that I would take at 18 if the tackles aren't there would be Brock Bowers. I don't think he falls to 18 personally. But I agree. I think tackle is our biggest need at 18, especially if one of those guys are there. I mean, it'd be really hard not to take one of those guys because they're going to be instant starters. I mean, unless we do bring in somebody in free agency, obviously, but even then I think they compete for the spot.
Illuminor. Now, in my like I was talking about in my scenario, I've tagged and traded. I'm saying we're tagging and trading in T. And then round 1, I took. I don't know how to say his name if I'm saying it right, but Rome Aduzne out of Washington. I didn't really get to look up too much about him, but I know he's a dog.
He's big.
I didn't get to look up his.
He's great down the field.
Late hands, really good ball skills.
He'll be a great
I just don't
great
know
receiver.
unless we actually tag and trade, see if we're going to take receiver first round, because I think they trust.
See, like
Yoshi
once we get
and them.
past free agency, that's when these mock drafts
Yeah,
really
really
start.
matter.
Yeah. That's when you really can start hammering home these mock drafts.
Talise was gone in mine, so I took JC Latham.
Yeah, see,
Stud,
me and Eric did a lot of film study today on Latham, and
strong.
he's an athlete. I think I wasn't too big on him beforehand, but watching some of his tape today, he did play in the SEC, so
He didn't have a great national championship, which I think a lot of people kind of turned eyes to him, but his whole season was
Rose Bowl.
insane. Yeah, Rose Bowl.
yeah,
I was about to say, didn't he play at Bama?
Yeah, he played Bama.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was still in the playoffs. Sorry, who they play first round?
Michigan, Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I forget the names of each game. Like, I know the Rose Bowl and stuff, but I just say playoffs. For
Yeah,
college nowadays.
first round.
Yeah.
His first half wasn't too bad because we watched that earlier today, but big.
Who was he going against though? Is it like a big name Michigan D end or like?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. No, I can't think of any Michigan defensive lineman other than like Chris Jenkins. That's a defensive tackle.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it was like a big name that he was going against, maybe that he was getting torched by or something. Because I didn't really watch him specifically. I watched the game, but I wasn't keeping an eye on the line.
Their line was getting beat pretty bad in the first half.
Yeah, their left tackle is I think he's a true freshman.
And
Their
their
left tackle
center
is-
had a rough game.
Yeah, it seemed like they're watching the tape of Latham. Eric kept pointing out like how their left tackle just kept getting beat. Like
It was every play.
Really?
Dude was
He
just getting
beat every
bullied.
single play.
Second round, I was lucky enough to get the Chavion Sanders to fall to me. I think he's another day one impact that can have in a season. I think he can have 700 plus, 7+ touchdowns. He's really big, tight end from Texas. Everyone knows
Yeah.
who he is. I love him. 100% would love him in stripes.
Yeah. I think
All three of us.
all three of us took the same guy, but a lot of Bengals guys have been taking him. Devontae Sweat.
Oh,
He
that
might
would
just
be
shoot up the board.
if he was there my second round, I would have taken him.
Yeah, so I usually take Sweat or I take Sanders.
God, I
usually
would
in my
love
two
this
rounds.
guy in Cincinnati. I mean, I think he would be incredibly useful. I mean, he would be a starter day one. I mean, even if we bring in a D tackle, he would compete for that starting job. Plus, we would rotate him in, obviously. But I think he's the kind of guy who could have a real like Super Bowl-esque impact on us.
Yeah,
Who can like push us over that edge.
kind of like a little bit not like as impactful as Jalen Carter, because he's an
Right.
insane athlete, but someone like Geno Atkins, kind of took some time
Stuff the run game too.
to
Like,
develop a little bit, and I think he could be an absolute stud.
Draft him, sign one just as a
Re-sign
depth
Reader
piece.
still.
Yeah, or
that
resign
would,
Reader.
yeah, if we draft him, I would definitely just try. Well, we'll know that before then, but
Yeah.
Just have another one, so it's a rotation of either Reader or a free agent we signed, Sweat and DJ
See, we're drafts
and
like
Zach Carter.
where our draft's gonna get
Keep
messy
stepping
is if we get to the draft and we didn't sign a right tackle or defensive
None of
tackle,
them.
and we
Relying on the draft.
let T go. So then you were like, at
You're like,
the first pick, you're like, what do you do here?
yeah. Well, hopefully, but if we trade T, hopefully we have two picks in this first round.
I mean, if you're gonna tag
I
and
would be
trade,
so
I
happy
think you look at the Cardinals.
Yeah, when we saw that, I was like, I like that.
I don't think we could probably they have the
it was like 30.
fourth pick, the
27th,
fourth
I think.
pick,
It was
fourth
27th,
and 27th pick.
We could get the 27th out of them.
I think we could get the 27th and probably their second round for sure at a team. Maybe in their second round next year.
Then they could go.
18
They
and
could go Marvin
27.
and T.
Yeah,
If
that'd
they got
be
T, that'd
crazy.
be gross. Marvin Harrison and T.
God.
That would be
because they're sticking with
nasty.
Kyler. I mean, I like
Yeah,
Kyler,
that's
so I
it.
mean,
I mean, go get him weapons.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you could really make it work. So yeah, Eric also Devondre Sweat. I think I would love Devondre Sweat. See, in my third round here, I have Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State. He's
D tackle.
he's like my fourth favorite defensive tackle. Behind like Byron Murphy and Newton and Sweat.
Yeah.
Michael Hall, he's developmental. He's not as I think day one ready as like Sweat or
Mhm.
Newton, but I think he could have a
Be
definite
a
impact.
rotation guy.
Yeah, 100%.
So I kind of went a little off the beaten path here. I went with Jalen McMillan, Washington receiver. In 20, I mean, he didn't have as much of an impact this season as far as like production wise. He had some really big games and some big moments in some of the big games. Torched Oregon, but in 2022 he had over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. This year, obviously, Rome went off. So kind of skewed what
Well,
he.
McMillan, you heard his name a lot last
Yeah.
year. If you paid attention to college football last year, you heard McMillan a lot.
He was like kind of like his, I would say, Penix's like safety vault. Like he threw them in clutch downs. I think he only had like 560 yards and like 5 or 6 touchdowns, but still good production. Just obviously kind of a dip there. I think losing Boyd, and if we were to tag and trade T, I think he would be a great guy to kind of bring in and maybe not start right away, but I think they could even move him to the slot too. And I think he would have a really good impact for us. Great hands, doesn't really have a drop problem. Played with a NFL caliber quarterback in Michael Penix. And Washington, it was a great program. So that's who I want.
And obviously, like these mocks are like just a shot in the dark, just because you have no idea how free agency is going to go.
And the simulators,
it's a
are
computer.
Kind of
It's
sometimes these simulators are like going a little crazy.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to restart this because it's like second pick, like the first pick was like a tackle, and one of mine, I was like, that's not happening.
Yeah, I've had one where Brock Bowers like fell to the second. I'm like, yeah, this isn't even realistic.
Like,
Close to realistic.
Let's restart this. But in my third round, I took Cade Stover out of Ohio State, tight end. We kind of got Burrow to get his guy at tight end, maybe like just to have one. I mean, we have Hudson, and we might sign one, but remembering that the year we went to the Super Bowl with Uzama, like Uzama wasn't even that big of a guy, and like just need a tight end to be making plays out there and to help out.
Tight end is definitely
Jamar
right. As of right now, I'd say tight end's like our second biggest need behind right tackle. Like tight end's like huge. Tackle? I don't know.
Like I wouldn't want to go into our year. I'd be okay going into the year with. Well, I don't know I can't remember who's all free agents out of our tight ends. Like I think Hudson,
Irv Smith.
I think Hudson might also be a free agent.
Well, Irv Smith's not getting re-signed. That's a definite.
But that was funny. Sorry. Go ahead. It's made me lose track of what I was talking about.
I took Cooper Beebe, offensive guard.
Where's he play? Sorry, I have
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas.
Cool name
Kansas
too.
State. It is, but the Bengals need depth on the offensive line. They need tackles too.
He can play tackle and guard, can he?
I think he might have played a little bit of tackle.
I think he did, just a little bit.
But thing is, you can probably swing him out at tackle and at guard, but they need the depth. Yeah, and they need competition for Volson. So be interesting to see.
I don't want to get into like sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good.
I don't want to get into like a full 7th round mock
because
list
some of these guys I don't really like.
But like I'll go to round 4 because I got one of my favorite players in the draft. That's Kyrie Jackson. Underrated name. He's a cornerback from Oregon. I really love how he plays ball. He's real physical. He does get a little he gives a little bit too much cushion sometimes trying to make a play, but I think you can coach that. Yeah. But he's lengthy, kind of like Sauce. I'm a real big fan of his. So I mean, he does struggle like with physicality, like in the run game. So that's one thing he's going to have to learn and get better in off-ball coverage.
So I'll say my 4th round guy, but my Jim, the guy that I was really happy to get in this draft was my round 6 guy, Jaquan Shepard. You guys probably have heard the name. He played at UC, and then transferred to Maryland. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. I mean, that's a great build for a corner nowadays. He didn't have any interceptions, but he had 18 pass breakups in the last 2 years. So, I mean, that just shows me that he might not be able to get those interceptions, but he's still making plays on the ball. That's what I was going to
Sauce didn't have any picks.
Yeah. So, I just think that he would be like the diamond in the rough for us. But my 4th round pick was Mason Smith from LSU, D tackle. Kind of like a Murphy situation where he didn't get a crazy amount of production, but I think that he could make an impact as far as a rotation piece. I think he would definitely need to have a couple years to develop, but he's big, he's powerful, and I think that he could eventually become a good rotational piece for us.
Yeah, I do like that.
My 4th round guy, I didn't if we're in the mix of, I don't know if we're going to keep mixing or not. Even if we do, I think he has one more year. So just to have somebody for the upcoming years and maybe to look at, I took Marshawn Lloyd out of USC. I think he's a good hard running back. I don't know how much in the receiving game he is good, but I just think we need that kind of ground and pound guy. Kind of like Pacheco is.
I'm a big Marshawn Lloyd guy. I watched a lot of USC games this year, so come to really like Marshawn Lloyd.
In the 4th round, I mean, if he's there, I mean, depending on what else, if we need other big needs, like we said, this is just a mock. I think if he's there and we don't know what we're going to do with Mixon, I think you take him.
So my 4th round pick, and also like my gem of the draft, is a Chris Abrams Drain.
I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, I mean he can tackle. He's very sure tackler. He had let's see, he had 4 interceptions, 12 passes defended, 51 tackles, 38 of them were solo tackles.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he's kind of built like Cam Taylor-Britt too. So
Yeah.
I think he'd be a pretty good pick.
Real quick, like with free agency, like I just want to get into like what I want to do in free agency with the Bengals to do. Like I want to cut Nick Scott.
I think we all have that. I can just go ahead and
Like,
say that.
I either want to cut or restructure Sam Hubbard.
You might want to cut him.
You gotta side Miles Murphy in there, and I also have it like I definitely won't happen. But getting a guy like Chase Young,
Mm-hmm.
like
I
you
think we're in the
need
mix for one of those top 7 guys.
yeah, and like Justin Matabuke from Baltimore, that defensive tackle, that dude's a stud in the making.
26.
So again, like these are my thing is with the defense, you got to get the pass rush going. You got to. Outside of Hubbard, we had almost nothing. So
That's true.
That's
Like
my
I can't keep being a homer. I think with us trying to win and wanting to win, obviously, and if this is a window, if it is a window with Burrow, I think, like he said, his whole career is our window. But you got to be able to make those moves and not be like, or even him just be a rotational piece, maybe not be a starter. Like if he decides to restructure, or maybe not decide, but the Bengals say restructure if you want to stay with us, or we're going to cut you. But we can't be scared to make those moves if we want to be a winning team.
yeah,
Just because he's a homer. That's why everybody's like, oh, we can't cut Hubbard. Like obviously he played Ohio State and stuff like that. Like everybody loves him. So
I really do. I love Hubbard personally, but his pass rush isn't there.
he showed it last year though. That was the thing. Like he showed glimpses, and I was like, yes, this is the Hubbard we need on the opposite side of Hendrickson. And then this year it was just like he took a step back.
It's really just pressure. It's like we got to get pressure. We got to get interior.
Pressure,
We got to get, you know what I mean? Yeah. Hubbard's a smart guy. He's a great player, but I just want a little more.
Yeah.
Just because our defense really fell off.
And you got to be willing to make those moves and see that if we're going to.
I'm not willing to completely blame it on Dax Hill and Jordan Battle and Nick Scott and like our defensive
Battle
back
didn't even play half the year.
But like, you know what I mean? Like
played,
I want to win games. You gotta have a pass rush.
Yep.
And outside of Hendrickson, we had nothing.
It all starts.
I hope the linebackers also get back to what they can do.
Yeah, they looked slow last year, but then again, it's like I think everyone had a little bit more responsibility last year than what they're used to having.
Yeah, we lost both safety. I mean,
you have DJ Turner, young corner. Mike Hilton wasn't Mike Hilton in coverage. You know, you lose Jesse Bates, huge factor. You lose Von Bell, huge factor. So the linebackers probably had a lot more pressure on them for coverage than typical. And that's why it also seemed like we dialed back the blitzes. You know, it's another thing we got to get back to is just sending heat.
We just need Lou to be on his full cooking mode this next year. Otherwise, it might be like if we don't look that good. Like
if Steve Wilks is going to get fired, you know what I mean? Like
that's what I'm saying. It's like we can't be scared to move on from a coordinator. Like after a couple, like if he doesn't show another like great year, like our defense doesn't play well. Yeah. We can't be scared to move on from Lou just because we're Bengals fans and we obviously are like, oh no, lose Lou, he'll get back to himself. Like, will he?
That's the problem with most Bengals fans is they're just too much of homers and they just want to stick with the same comfortability they have. But to win, you have to make moves.
Yep.
And you have to be aggressive. You have to make changes. Obviously, you never know if the grass is greener on the other side.
But
obviously, it's worth it. Like Callahan, I wanted to get rid of Callahan before he even got the head coaching job with Tennessee, just because I want something new in that room.
Can't keep being stagnant. That's why I love that we brought in that Vikings from
passing.
I think that's going to help a lot.
That's a bigger move than I think people realize.
I know that's what I was saying.
The Vikings, I mean, they're top 5 in passing.
And have you seen Jefferson's route trees?
Yeah. So I think
they move him all over too. Yeah. Like
I think Jamar is going to be heavy involved.
I think he'll be in the slot.
I mean, he always obviously is, but
I mean, look at what CeeDee Lamb does in the slot.
Yeah.
Tell me Jamar can't do that.
That's what I'm saying. I think with this new passing game coordinator, hopefully, like we started to do it at the end of the year, started moving Jamar around a lot more, but like you just see all those great teams. I think we talked about it, ways to get those guys open. Like we were struggling to do it, and I just don't understand it.
Another thing is I think I've come to the conclusion I'm not ready to give Brad Robbins another year.
No, I want to win.
Not after watching some of the Super Bowl punts.
Yeah.
Mouth to the jaw to the floor. Like
for a fact, Brad Robbins ain't punting that far.
No.
So like
I don't care about the hang time.
That's not the thing anymore.
Boot that thing as far as you can.
Yeah.
It's field position. You got to flip field.
Yep.
You know, if we were able to flip field in the conference championship, it's a different story. So, this is my take on that. So,
yeah, no, I mean,
No, I
very
think we
well
talked
said.
about.
I mean, that's
I think we talked about pre-show, like before we started recording, that if I thought it was realistic, I'd cut Brad Robbins on here so we can bring in a different.
is it? I think you. Well,
But since we just
was he a
drafted him, I
7th
think they're
round
going to
pick
give him
or
another year.
six.
I think they'd give him another year. But I
Well,
hope
that's
not. But
that's
the mindset.
that's
that
my
we can't all
knock. That's
have.
my knock on front office is sometimes they wait
Try
a
to
little
give 'em-
too
yeah.
long.
But because they because they used the draft picks.
But other
if they
times
weren't, if they didn't use draft pick, I think they would be easy to move on. Like if he would have been an undrafted
because
punter
like
that we
they
picked
moved
up.
on from Christmas quickly. Like
Yeah.
That's what I'm
it
saying.
does go to like if you're drafted there, they're more likely to keep you around.
But then again, like Chrisman lost his roster spot quite a few times during when Hubbard was there. He went and was on the practice squad
Huber.
for a while, and
Talking about
Chrisman.
Huber.
Yeah, when we had Huber,
Yeah.
and Chrisman, it's like didn't really solidify his spot,
Yep.
and then obviously Hubbard.
I know that's
Damn.
right.
Huber had a lot of bad punts that Super Bowl run,
yeah.
like a lot of bad punts where you were kind of forced.
To move on to Drew Chrisman. And
Yeah.
then
It's probably going to become like that with Robbins unless he steps it up.
I think if he starts off slow and bad, then I think they will be. I mean, but at that point, it's like who's on the market?
I mean, anybody with a boot.
Obviously, I
What's
wouldn't cut.
Marquette King doing these days?
Yeah.
Obviously, I wouldn't cut Robbins right away. I'd bring in competition first.
Yeah,
just so you know, like, hey, like we're watching you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get comfortable, being our punter because
I think he knows that from the times you said that. Darren
I mean,
Simmons
if
was
he
in
logs
his
on,
face.
if he logs on Twitter at all,
Yeah, if he searches his name on Twitter, he'll know he's heavily watched by the
I
fan
think that's
base.
what players do is they just type their name, see what people are talking about.
I mean,
Wouldn't surprise me.
I bet
they probably don't really care a lot. I mean, why would you?
Well, a lot of people during the season just get off social media because how toxic and stuff it is.
That's what I mean. Like,
season,
why would you even care though? Like, you're playing, they're not. So,
well, I mean, some athletes like, why would you care? Then other athletes, kind of chirp back and they're like, well, why would you say that?
Like the whole Jalen Carter and John Feliciano defense.
That
stuff's wild.
But also, I think another thing is like, I don't know, lost train of shot.
That's
yeah. Just getting into like too much of like, obviously some of the things like I'm saying are going to offend a lot of Bengals fans just because they're so comfortable with what we have. But I want to win.
People are still living on that high of that Super Bowl run.
Yeah, you got to realize this is a different team.
Yep.
You got to realize we got to make different changes.
And the game adapts each year.
Yeah, 100%.
So
changes every year.
Well, if one person gets hurt, your whole flip screen.
I'd argue that 2021 year offense was more important than defense that year.
Yep.
But I'd argue like this past year in the NFL, defense was significantly more important than offense.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I think that's just the way the NFL's kind of adjusted over because offense was just like at an all-time high for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, even like you look at the numbers this year, like across the board, like nobody had like a oh my god season.
Yeah, even Lamar, who won MVP, his season was very mediocre.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
His year was like that in 2019, but he had the rushing stats.
Mediocre.
So, yeah, that's what really, I mean.
But like the only quarterback that really that has numbers this year was Dak Prescott
or Josh
Allen. But you look at his turnover rate.
That's what. Yeah, no, I get it, but like nobody really put up. I mean,
this was the year that CMC or somebody different.
It was definitely a year that I would have probably bet money that a non QB would have won.
What did it seem? Did anybody? I usually was
total yards.
Yeah, no, what did he end up in the voting? Like did CMC? What did he end up getting?
I don't know.
Like in the voting because it shows.
Well,
like,
only Josh Allen. Only Josh Allen's the only other player with the first place vote.
Oh,
so
dang, that's wild.
Which it's kind of shifting to, which it's been like this. It's kind of shifting to obviously MVP is QB and then offensive player is
receiver, running back,
and it's like I hate that.
I was real shocked. I really wanted CJ Stroud to win offensive player or rookie of the year.
Yeah,
but I was honestly shocked Puka didn't just because of how the award's been trending.
Yeah,
they usually give it to the receiver who has the most yards as a rookie. Because like Jamar got it.
I think Stroud, what helped him was he led the league in yards per game and TD interception ratio. Yeah. Like not just rookies, he led the league. Plus,
and they end up winning the division.
Stroud, sometimes you forgot Stroud was even a rookie this year.
Mm-hmm. He diced it up. My biggest shock was comeback player of the year, probably.
Dude, my jaw dropped.
Dude, I was
when
like,
they said Joe Flacco. I legit, if I would have
had even said like I don't want to win this. Like DeMar deserves to win this, and then he wins it.
Well, my thing is like, if you're gonna give it to not DeMar, Baker should probably won it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Baker's-
100%. Joe Flacco didn't even have that good of a season.
Yeah, what
He
10
just-
like I saw the thing. It's like if he would have played all season, it would have been like 30 touchdowns, 30 picks.
Someone said DeMar died, came back. Joe Flacco old and came back. So was good, bad season, good again. DeMar dead, came back.
Flacco fever, baby.
Which I mean, Baker probably would have been my second favorite. Baker had an
Yeah, I would have went
amazing year.
DeMar, Baker, Joe, but
My thing is like if I don't know why DeMar didn't win it, because obviously you can't base it off play because Alex Smith won
He
it.
played one snap, right? Or not one snap, but he didn't play a lot after that.
He didn't play. He didn't start for the football team at the time.
Yeah.
He didn't start, but he definitely came back after that gruesome leg injury, and he won comeback player of the year. He didn't put up numbers.
Nope.
And then Eric Berry, he
beat cancer.
He beat cancer and came back. So I mean,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
who won it? Who won it last year? Comeback player last year.
I don't remember. I
The
can't.
year
look up
before was
anything
Joe
here.
Burrow,
Yeah.
which understandable. That's an ACL. He came back, took his team to the Super Bowl. That's understandable for
That was a
comeback
tight
player.
race between him and Bosa
Yeah, it was.
and Dak.
That was a good race
I remember
too.
me,
That
and
was
you
a
bet
good.
that. Me and him went to the casino and like bet it, and he was like third favorite at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like Bosa was the favorite. We're like, should we bet Bosa? No. We're like,
I think we got snubbed on flag football players of the year. I commented on the NFL like
Yeah, I saw
our
that.
championship running flag. I was like,
you
What?
put like
Snubbed.
a picture of our team.
Did the NFC win anything other than offensive player of the year?
no, NFC didn't win anything.
That's crazy.
AFC across the board. Coach of the
A
year.
lot of
CMC
AFC
carried.
North. AFC North, a lot of across the board.
Yeah, AFC North had
I would say
MVP.
Coach of the year was kind of a wild one for me too.
I thought for
Which
sure that
Stefanski
should've went to
deserved
D'Amico.
it.
Stefanski definitely
Deserved
deserves it.
but
But I
thought
was like,
D'Amico
oh,
was winning
okay.
that.
But I would also argue that D'Amico also deserves it. I think
That's
that's how like the
That's who I
award
would've voted.
was.
They all deserved it, but like Stefanski already has the coach of the year, and I feel like they don't always. I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah,
rookie head coach with a rookie QB.
I feel like if you have a lot of injuries, they tend to give it to that coach who wins with a lot
yeah,
of
'cause you
injuries.
make do what you got.
Yeah, like the
I get
year,
it.
like 2021. I should have. I don't know. Like it's like biased in me that I think Zach Taylor should have won it over Mike Vrabel, but Mike Vrabel had the most
most
players
injuries.
on
Yeah,
IR and still went to the
And
playoffs.
got the one seed.
The one seed.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean,
Who ended up winning the assistant? Wasn't it what
Who was it?
defense coordinator? Was it Schwartz? No, because I thought Spags should have won it, but I don't remember who won it because I thought Spags
Well, it should have been Spags.
Schwartz.
Was it
Yeah.
Schwartz? That's
Yeah.
what I thought. I thought it was Schwartz, but
Spagnola's that dude.
I
That dude
know.
he knows how to cook.
yeah, get him out of Kansas City. Get him a head coaching
Oh
job.
well, he just signed an extension. So
Did he?
yesterday.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
There's no jobs anyway.
How
this year,
long?
so.
I don't know how long. I'd expect him to take a head
Forever.
coaching
It's
job
just-
after Reed, anyways.
yeah.
I wouldn't imagine Reed is gonna coach much longer.
He said, "I ain't going nowhere."
Yeah,
Him and Travis, they'll probably go out together. At some
yeah.
point.
Travis Kelsey said if Andy Reed's
Reed's
gone, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Which I mean, obviously, I need Joe Burrow to come back. I need the Bengals to be back. We got to knock this three-peat off. We got to be that Eli Manning. It's Tom Brady.
Who do you think Fields goes to? Like you think since it's pretty much they said they're probably gonna wait until like after the draft and still
I also know about like the Bears want Caleb and Justin have Caleb sit for a year.
what? That'd be
Not a
whack.
bad move, but horrible
I
for
would say it's a
Justin
bad move.
Fields. I'm more, but I'm one of those I'm one of those people who are like I'd rather have my quarterback sit for a year.
I want
than-
Fields to go to Atlanta. Hopefully he doesn't
Yeah.
go to Pittsburgh, but if he goes to
My
Atlanta,
thing is though, like it's just a weird, like
What,
field
Atlanta?
to sit under Fields for a year. Like you're almost
Oh.
kind of limiting Fields' career. Like you know, what I mean, you're obviously you're
like he
stunting it.
knows, he's like he knows. Like in
But
the back of his
you can
mind-
also say they've been limiting his career his entire tenure there so far.
Right, but what I'm saying is like, okay, so say you draft Caleb Williams with the first pick, then you know they obviously it's free agency, they still want to win, so they're going to try to bring in guys. Fields comes out and they win like 8-9 games. Then you're kind of like, oh, what do we do here? I mean, you could trade Caleb Williams, but then you wasted the first pick. You're not going to get the first pick for him,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's like I don't know if I'd
It's also that's a huge cap hit too.
Yeah,
by
to
trading.
take him first and
Yeah.
like
that's
for him to sit.
that'd be a very weird decision.
That's if I'm Chicago, I'm taking Caleb, but I can also be like Chicago and try to develop a 25-year-old quarterback and get an absolute haul for that first.
Oh, you
overall pick.
would get a stupid haul.
Yeah. So, I mean, I see it both ways, but I'm more of a fan of Caleb Williams than I am Justin Fields. But people tend to forget that Justin Fields did go toe-to-toe with Trevor Lawrence in that, national championship.
I mean,
the man
Fields
just
didn't-
ball on that run.
Fields
at the end
didn't
of
have
the
a
year.
bad year.
They ended up
I
winning
mean,
like 7 games, 6, 7.
I think 7 to 10.
Yeah, like once he
And he all he had was DJ Moore, Cole Kmet.
yeah,
That's
like I
it.
said, you take
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you get him some weapons.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
They are in a weird spot because you have a young quarterback who, maybe he could be something.
Again,
have
though,
the
they
first pick.
kept again. They
trade
kept
him, he balls, and
Eberflus.
Caleb sucks.
That'd be Bears luck.
That'd be the worst luck.
Caleb can't suck, so that would make Colton right.
That's true. But I took that back though.
I don't know. I think if it's going to be tough for Chicago because if Chicago ruins another quarterback's career, they should.
Stop drafting them.
They should
Just pay somebody in free agency.
Yeah, 100%. Go back to like the Jay Cutler days. Bring in a guy who's or an organization doesn't want. Bring in Russell Wilson.
That's what I was gonna say. That's right. Bears country.
Which if I heard the Broncos are going to cut him, so
That's a wild.
where's Russell Wilson going to go? I heard he's willing to play for cheap too.
He'll probably go to Pittsburgh, bro.
He wants to redeem himself, I think.
Pittsburgh?
I
Don't go to
hope
Pittsburgh.
he
'cause I feel like
doesn't.
there's still
I
something
mean,
left.
Atlanta would be in the running for him, I think.
I hope he goes to who's their head coach now?
Minnesota.
Sean Payton.
I could see Minnesota.
No, I'm
Who?
sorry, Atlanta. It's
Raheem Morris.
Raheem Moore. I'm just trying to think of because sometimes they like to try to bring in who they've worked with or something. But where'd he just come from?
Rams. And he brought in his offense coordinators from LA also.
That's what I was trying to think, but they'll probably just draft
They had
him.
Matthew Stafford as pocket passer. And I heard Kirk's either Atlanta or Pittsburgh. So
Kirk Cousins.
I think Atlanta would be sick.
I know that's what I said. I think I said that earlier in the year.
Pitts is hitting the grade as we speak.
if Tiny Hands Kenny Pickett ain't the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback next year, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, because he sucks.
Yeah, way to
No,
ease it in there.
We hate Pittsburgh, so. Well, I hate Pittsburgh.
I hate the Ravens and Browns more than I hate Pittsburgh at this point.
Really?
At this point, yeah, it's no longer
No, bro,
It's
that
no longer-
2015 loss, bro. Still hits me hard.
that team's no longer.
I know that team's
that
no
team.
longer, but it still hits hard.
I will say just playing those teams. I hate playing Cleveland the
I
most.
hate playing Cleveland.
They
Well, that's
have
because we lose to
they
them.
have
I
our
hate
number,
playing
yeah.
Baltimore more
They
than
have-
anyone. I hate Baltimore fans more than any other
Yeah,
fan
'cause-
base. I wouldn't say I hate them, but like they drive me insane. Lamar.
I
don't know.
upset the Chargers fan base, so I had them all coming from my neck.
Oh, you upset all 10 of them.
There was more than 10. We kept getting those notifications.
Yeah, whenever it's that.
They don't have fans.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're all in Vegas now.
their own base. Oh man,
Did you guys hear about the A's? How they might not be in
Moving to
Vegas?
Vegas.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
I
it-
heard
How they
that.
might
I
not.
thought it was
Yeah.
confirmed.
Nah,
No.
they might.
Apparently, if the MLB owners agree upon it, doesn't really matter. They said it holds as much weight as a normal person voting on it. So they
That's
have
just
to.
wild.
So the A's might be homeless for a while.
That's sad.
They're gonna be homeless. Was it this year? This is when they start traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll play in like San Fran and a couple other places because they're home games.
I didn't know that, but that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the A's for you though.
Yeah,
All right. Well, this was a fun first live stream. I thought
it
it
was.
went very well.
Yeah.
We going live. We don't have a set schedule yet, so we'll figure that out.
Wednesdays,
Tweet it out.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
It's one of the days. We'll tweet it out when we're going live and stuff.
Well, we'll get back with you guys later.
Peace.